This is the stock shifter that I put back in, which works okay. The problem is when I get over here, it still wants to twist itself out. So we're going to remove this one, and we're going to put my EMPI shifter, my new EMPI shifter, in here. Pull this boot up. These bolts are usually 13 or 14s. Right now I've got my 13 millimeter. Let's see if it does it. It does. I'll pull this up out of here. And we want to get this shifter plate out of here. This is only going to go with the stock shifter. It's not going to work with the EMPI shifter that I'm putting on here. We have this plate, which may or may not be necessary. I don't know. It didn't come with manuals. And then drop the shifter in place. Pull the boot up and out of the way. Put our bolts back in. Oh man, this shifter is a lot longer. I can already see the shifter's in a much better position. Because my seat is all the way back in this car. Let me adjust the camera just so you can even see where I'm at. I mean, it's way back here. Okay. Alright, let's see what we got. Something doesn't feel right. I don't think that ball seated in the shifter. Yeah, I don't think it went in the shifter shaft. I think it missed the cup when I pushed it down. Not the first time I've done that. Yeah, I missed it. Alright. Let's make sure this thing is in the center. That way it doesn't miss this time. And I hate it when she looks at you and she goes, "You missed." And I'm like, I know. It's even funnier when you miss it when they go, "Aye!" You know what I'm talking about. Yes, you do. These stock bolts, I think, are just a tad short to go through both of the plates. Having trouble getting it started here, even though I got it started just fine earlier. That was it. Just had to push down on the shifter a little bit to compress the carpet back to the position I wanted in. Alright, let's see what we got here. Put the boot down into place, which has now turned itself inside out. Went on like this. Here we go. Wow, this thing feels so much better. I don't know if that's all the gears though. There's reverse. Nope. Tighten up that knob a little bit. First, second, third, fourth, I would imagine. I guess what's left is we need to take her for a drive. First is still a little bit tricky though. Right now it's fine. But if I go third, fourth, and then back to first, now it's okay. Now second's missing. No, never mind, there it is. That's weird. But we've got a new bushing in there. The couplers still look to be in really, really good shape. So I think we're good here. Unless something is misaligned in the back as far as transmission mounts are concerned. But, alright. I guess we'll take her for a ride and see what happens. everybody, welcome back to Duckman Cycles and VW Garage. I'm your host, the Duckman. We're back today with my 1968 Volkswagen, also known as Ruby. And we're replacing the shifter. Now, if you didn't fast forward up to this point, you probably saw that I replaced the EMPI shifter. Well, I actually installed the brand new EMPI shifter after having replaced the stock shifter with a brand new EMPI shifter. This is the one that came off of there, and this one's got some problems. And we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But meanwhile, like, comment, subscribe, pluck that dingle belly. Visit duckshit.net. That's my website. Up there, you'll find more of my social media links and more ways to get in touch with me. Anyways, without carrying on, let's go ahead and get into how I modified my shifter and made it work for the fastback. Alright, this here was a shifter that came out of the Type 3. This plate goes on the bottom of it. I don't remember how, like that. Just like that. It has a flat spot on the inside here that's supposed to hit the inside of this. And when you pull that trigger, right here, that's what allows you to click it over into reverse. So anyway, this to me never looked right. I actually got this off of another car, I think. It may have come in a pile of parts, I really don't remember. But there's two plates on here that are sandwiched together, and there's welds all the way around it. And it's all hokey, and it's crooked, and it just doesn't look right to me. This shifter, when I got it, I actually replaced the wire that was in it for the trigger mechanism. So that was part of what I did, but like I said, it never fit right. I always had a lot of trouble getting it into first, second, and reverse. First became a bigger problem, as we know it was actually because of the bushing having deteriorated. But reverse was always a bit tricky, and sometimes it would even go into reverse without me pulling the trigger. So I knew when I got sick and tired of this thing, it was time to replace it. But anyway, as I said, I don't really remember where it came from. It was a pile of junk, and I rebuilt it from the junk that I had. Actually, at one point I had 3 of these, and they've all gone out with other cars. But the one that worked the best is the one I kept for me. But this thing is just, it's been a mess. I put this boot on here, by the way. It came on one of these other shifters. It actually was another one that did not say EMPI on it. It also didn't say Hurst. It was just no field at all for that to go on. And I took the boot off it because it was a boot that was in the best shape and put it on this one. But anyway, so you know this shifter was a problem. So I went to Amazon and I got a new one. Links below in the video description if you want to get one just like this. I find these shifters to be very, very easy for me to use because I like to push the seat further back because I'm taller. And because of the angle that are on these, it just allows you to sit further back and gives you just a more comfortable seating position for a large person. Anyway, this is the cheap plastic boot that comes on these things. I hate this. This is my new shifter, however. You see it does say EMPI on here. I'm going to be pulling a rubber boot off of this one and put it onto this one. But this shifter, I wasn't sure if I should buy a long or a short handle, and I forget what the difference was. It was about 1 inch. But laying these two shifters side by side, you can see the new one actually is a bit longer. I guess it's a little hard to see with the camera here. There you go. You can actually see that the cutting mat right here, everything lines up. And it's roughly 1 inch longer. So it is with the longer shifter that's on here. Now the plate that goes on the bottom is in this little baggie. And this is interesting here because clearly it's not welded or bullshitted. It looks like part of this plate was what they welded. And then for some reason they took off the plate that's on the bottom of the shifter here, which used to be on this one. I don't know what the hell they were thinking, but I can see where some of the welds were ground off. Just, they're gone. Then they took the plate that they took off of there and welded them two together into a sandwich. Stupid is what that is. Anyway, this thing, just feeling this, I can tell right away that it feels a whole lot better than what I had before. The other one just didn't have that kind of motion. It had too much motion, or it would just click and bang into things. It just doesn't feel right. So anyway, this is getting replaced. But before we go ahead and toss this shifter, I'm actually going to remove that rubber boot. And that can be a little bit tricky. The boot actually has a, in fact, we'll take it off of this one first because this is easier to get to. The shifter actually has a wire that comes out of the inside like this. The shift knob comes off. The trigger pulls off like this. And then the whole boot will slide right off of there. Now I like the knob on the old shifter more because it has a kind of a texture. If The shifter on the new one feels very rubberized and kind of sticky. So I think the old knob is going to go back on. It's kind of interesting, they actually are not the same size. The new one is actually bigger. I don't know if that's just because the old one is worn in, you know, broken in or worn down. But anyway, I'm probably going to keep the old one, if the old one even fits on the threads on here. Let's see. Yeah, it's the same threads. Alright, that should work out just fine. Make sure the depth in there is the same also, because the depth of the shift knob actually affects how far you can lift up the trigger on here. Alright, let's pull the boot off, and let's get this trigger out of here. We got to find that wire. Let's see, where is it? This one, having still had the bottom plate on here, it's a lot harder to get to. Alright, I'm actually going to put it under a brighter light and do it off camera. I'll be right back. Alright, we're back. That little piece of wire is right here. And it's just a piece of wire like baling wire. It's not anything any more sophisticated than that, really. Alright, pull the trigger. Here it is. Pull this little rubber thing off of here. Little rubber gogie. We're not using that. Put our old boot back on. You gotta admit, that just looks a whole lot better than this cheap plastic shit right here. This is just... And these friggin' things, they never stay seated. You think they just stay down, but they vibrate loose. They turn around, and it's dumb. Do not like. These are much nicer. This sucker, and like I said, I was actually on one of these shifters. It just sits down once you put it in place, and it stays where you put it. So, yeah, much happier to be using this one. Alright, let's go ahead and get the shifter put back together. Alright, you take the trigger, and you put your wire through the little hole on it, just like that. And then the hook should go in the little keyed end, right there. Now this, as an entire assembly, should get shoved right into the shifter shaft, and push down on this sucker, and it should feed through the bottom of the shifter. Looking for that little wire to be coming up here next to the ball. I don't see it. Okay. If you bought a new shifter, you wouldn't have to do this. This is just because I replaced the boot. For some reason, I don't see that wire coming through here. Oh yeah, I do. It's there. Yeah, it's there. It's just not going through all the way. Let's see, I got a little screwdriver over here. Let's see if I can just push it a little more. I used my new piece of wire just now and tossed away the piece of wire that came with the shifter. The reason why is because the new wire is a lot longer and much easier to pull through. And you see how much easier this was already. Just got to get it hooked on this end. Alright, a little bit more. Pull, pull, pull. Alright, I think we're good on this end. I'm going to put the shift knob on just to hold the thing together in case it tries to slip apart on me. Pull this wire back through. Now this little reverse mechanism, which is this piece that goes up and down. This is it here, you can see it. This actually goes up and down. This needs to be engaged just slightly. Enough to, by a screwdriver, just sliding in here is enough to get it into place where it needs to be. Yeah, and then fish this wire through here, bringing out the side, just like this. And there's a little split right here. Easier to see it on this one. You see the split. The wire has to go through that split. just like that, and then wrap it around. And that's what's going to retain the trigger on the top of the shifter. This is what's also responsible for making the mechanism work. Over here, that wire is sticking out a little bit. I'm going to cut off the excess. When I pulled it through that fork over here, I wrapped it around the base of this thing at least once, and that will cause it to give it a little bit of tension on it, so that way it doesn't come unwrapped. We'll just cut off the little bit of excess that's here. There's really not too much at all. You know what I just did? I pushed it into the place where it's not even in the way. We're just going to go with that. I tucked it on in there so it's out of the way. If I need to take it apart again ever, it's going to be real easy to just grab the wire and unwrap it. Oh, that will be useful. Okay, the good thing is it's up in a caged environment where nothing's going to hit it, so the shifter shaft is actually on the bottom here. Now, if you've been watching this video, you'll see that you've already watched me install it. So what we're going to do next is we're going to take it for a test drive. Here we go. Thanks for watching. Oh man, finding first gear was a lot easier than it used to be. Oh, that's so much better. Now we just gotta let the engine warm up a little bit. Slid right into third, no problem. Downshift back to second. Yeah, this is much better than it was. Still feels like it needs a little tweaking. I might have to loosen the bolts and push it forwards and back a little bit to get it in that sweet spot. But it's so much better than it was. Wow. In fact, the gears don't even feel like they're in the right spots. But they are. Just the feel of it is completely different than what I was used to. And that's definitely a taller shift knob. It's reaching out. I only have to reach out that extra inch or two to get to it from my arm's distance. Uh-oh. Got a bus. Yeah, in fact, shifting it now, it no longer clunks. It makes a hard metallic sound either. Should have passed the bus. It's not a school bus. You can pass them when they're stopped. Shifter has been a problem, man, since I first got this car. It's so much better than it was. In fact, it's a whole lot easier to shift while it's rolling, but I guess that's probably a normal thing. That's the way a lot of vehicles are. Anyway, I'm headed out right now to go meet Wild Bill at Twin Peaks to have us some buy one get one free wings because it's Customer Appreciation Day. Every time that Customer Appreciation Day comes up for them, they always send me like a stack of coupons, like 5 of them for these things. So I usually hand them out to my friends and invite a whole bunch of people. They probably do it on purpose just for that reason. But they send me one a week in advance, then they send me one the day before, and then they send me one the day of to remind me. And they also plug 2 email addresses. Somehow they got 2 on their list. But oddly enough, literally oddly enough, I usually wind up with an odd number of coupons. It's usually like 5. Even though based on that logic of sending 3 out, you would think 3 times 2 equals 6. No, that's not the case. Yeah, very, very happy with the shifter. This feels good. Just taking a cruise across town. We don't have very far to go. In fact, at the next traffic light, we're about halfway there. Even my brakes feel so much different with that new line on there. Just bleeding the front brakes is probably what was needed to be done anyway. I hadn't bled those front brakes in about 3 years. Yeah, pedal just feels fantastic. Very, very happy. Downshifting works well. That was another something I had trouble with before. It seems like downshifting into any gear was a problem. Upshifting, not so much. Downshifting was difficult. One thing I need to do too is I need to check the fluid level in the transmission. I haven't done that in a couple of years. The bottom of the transmission was a little wet and the fluid did smell a little bit. It could be those swing axle boots that I had mentioned in an earlier video, that the bolts should not be facing up and they should be facing either forward or backward. And this is how we drive in New Jersey. Oh, am I gonna get up there? Nope, we're not. That's it. Welcome to New Jersey. Get the hell out of the way. I'll show you how to drive with 50 horsepower. Stupid traffic people, all back up in the same lanes. What was the point of that? Stuck in this lane. It's alright, we're gonna make a left up ahead anyway. Man, actually when I search for first gear, I'm in first gear. There's none of this, oh well I might be in third, let me go ahead and just let the clutch out a little and see what happens. No, it's in first. Driving in 2 lanes. Yeah, I was a little worried on this test drive that I was going to have to turn around and go back home you know, that I was going to need to make an adjustment or just park the car and go switch over to the other vehicle. But it's shifting and driving great. And we are here. Well, almost. Looks like we just got stuck at a light. There's a lot less play in the shifter too, just banging it around at neutral. Before that thing used to slop all over the place. I might have to check the master cylinder up front. Just stepping on the brakes just now as I was turning, the pedal had a little more motion in it than it did just minutes before. I got a feeling there may be a little leak up there again, or maybe there's a leak on a different brake line. Or maybe I'm just completely wrong and I'm feeling things. Right now it feels fine, but I also haven't pushed that hard on it yet. Alright, here we go. So as always, everybody, like, comment, subscribe, pluck that dingle belly. Check out duckshit.net up here in the corner of the screen so you too can check out all of my other social media links and everything that I've got to. Very shortly, I'll be upgrading to the brand new website. Very, very shortly. I've got the beta version that I've been testing with some of my friends, and they've been giving me good reports. They kind of like it. So anyways, thanks always for watching. Don't forget to likey, comment, subscribe, pluck that dingle belly. We'll see you again next time. Really appreciate you.